I coach individuals with little to no experience in healthcare information technology, helping them transition from feeling uncertain about their expertise to becoming confident subject matter experts. My goal is to empower you to accelerate your career growth and thrive in your daily professional interactions, equipping you with knowledge and skills needed for success in the healthcare IT field.
Okay, so you know how we're always talking about like the really exciting cutting edge stuff in healthcare? Well, today we're going kind of behind the scenes to talk about something that's, now honestly, it sounds kind of boring at first. Healthcare data standards.
Right.
But here's the thing. These standards, they're like the unsung heroes of how your medical information actually like moves through the system. Without them, things would get messy fast.
Oh, absolutely. They really are the glue that holds everything together.
Exactly. Think about it. You go to a new doctor, they pull up your records, you get lab work done, it all just like magically appears where it needs to. That's not magic, that's data standards in action. And behind the scenes, making sure it all runs smoothly. That's where our healthcare business analysts come in, the HCBAs.
Right.
They're like the air traffic controllers of patient data, making sure everything's flowing smoothly.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
But before we get to the heroes, we got to start with the foundation, right? Ever heard of HL7?
HL7, yeah, it's essential. It's like the, think of it as the universal language for healthcare systems.
Okay.
Imagine if every computer system spoke a different language. Doctors wouldn't be able to share information. You'd be stuck in a world of fax machines and paper records.
Ouch. Yeah, nobody wants to go back to that. So HL7 is there to prevent a major healthcare headache. Got it.
Exactly.
But like with anything else in technology, things evolve. And in the world of data exchange, that evolution is called FHIR, Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources.
Yeah, and I think a good way to think about HL7 and FHIR is HL7 is like the solid foundation of a house, right? And then FHIR is that modern adaptable structure you build on top. It allows for more flexibility, especially with how we share health data online these days.
So it's like upgrading from dial-up to broadband for your medical records.
Exactly.
Love it. Okay, so we've got the foundation, we've got the modern framework, but how does all this data actually move between systems? What makes that happen?
Right. Well, a key part of that is something called APIs, or application programming interfaces.
APIs? Yeah, I've heard that term thrown around, but honestly, I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, it sounds very technical, but don't let the jargon scare you. They're basically like digital messengers that allow different apps to talk to each other securely.
Okay, give me an example. How does this actually affect me?
Sure. So imagine you're using like a health app on your phone. And it pulls in data from your doctor's office or even your fitness tracker, right? That seamless exchange of information, that's possible because of APIs.
Ah, so that's how my fitness tracker can tell my doctor I'm slacking on my steps. Makes sense.
Exactly.
And speaking of those all-important medical records, let's talk about where all this information actually lives, the EHR and EMR. I'll be honest, I always get those two confused.
Yeah, it's an important distinction. So your electronic medical record, or EMR, that's specific to a single practice, like your primary care doctor.
Okay.
But your electronic health record, or EHR, that's meant to be a more comprehensive view of your health information, and it's accessible, ideally, across different settings.
So if I see a specialist, they could theoretically access my EHR and see the notes from my primary care doctor.
Exactly. And actually, in Canada, we have systems like Connecting Ontario and the OLAS system that are working to connect different parts of the healthcare system, making those EHRs even more comprehensive.
That's awesome, and that's where our HCBA friends come in, right? Making sure those systems are implemented correctly and comply with all those important privacy rules.
Right. The HCBA is absolutely critical in ensuring that sensitive data is handled responsibly no matter where it travels. So we've talked about how data moves around, but what about like the actual content of that data? How do we make sure everyone's speaking the same language when it comes to diagnoses and treatments?
Yeah, because like a cough can mean a million things, right? Like my cough from allergies is way different from someone battling pneumonia. So how do we capture that level of detail?
Exactly. And that's where those, those kind of mysterious medical codes come in.
Oh, yeah, those things.
They might seem like gibberish, but they add a level of detail and precision that just regular language can't always capture.
Okay, so decode those codes for me. What are we talking about here?
So let's start with diagnoses, right? Every condition, from a common cold to something way more complex, it has a specific code assigned to it.
Okay.
We call these ICD codes, short for International Classification of Diseases.
So instead of a doctor just writing, patient has the flu, They'd use a specific code for that.
You got it. And it's not just about being super specific, although that's important. But these codes are how hospitals, insurance companies, researchers, everyone tracks health trends, make sure resources are being used effectively.
It's like the universal language of healthcare data. Makes sense.
Exactly, exactly. And just like any language, it evolves. So that's where ICD-10 comes in.
ICD-10.
Yeah, the latest version of the system, it's way more detailed, which might seem like a small thing, but has a huge impact.
Okay, more detail, better data. Give me an example, though. How does this actually affect me?
So let's say you go to the doctor with a sprained ankle, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the past, there might have been one general code for a sprain,
Right.
but with ICD-10, the code specifies like which ligaments involved, the severity, everything.
Wow. Okay, so more accurate diagnoses, better treatment.
Exactly. And of course, it all plays a role in making sure you get reimbursed properly for those treatments.
Right, of course. Can't forget about the billing side of things.
Exactly. And speaking of, let's talk billing codes, specifically CPT codes.
Ah, yes, those are the mysterious codes that show up on my medical bills that I never understand.
Those are CPT codes in action. They describe every medical procedure imaginable, from a routine checkup to a complex surgery.
So each little thing a doctor does has its own code.
Pretty much, yeah. And each code has an associated fee, which is how insurance companies figure out what they'll cover.
Okay, that makes sense. So if I see a CPT code on my bill, I know exactly what I'm paying for. I like it. But I'm guessing it's not just diagnoses and procedures, right? What about all those other details in our medical records, like symptoms and medications and stuff?
You're right. There's a whole other layer of detail when it comes to describing medical information, and that's where SUMED comes in, the systematized nomenclature of medicine.
SNOMED. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. What is that?
Think of it like a giant multilingual dictionary, but for everything healthcare.
Okay.
So it provides really specific, standardized terms for everything, from symptoms and diseases to lab tests and surgical procedures.
So instead of just saying like broken leg, SNOMED would have a specific term for the type of fracture, which bone, all that.
Exactly. And that level of precision, it's crucial for avoiding misinterpretations and making sure everyone's on the same page, especially when you're dealing with complex medical cases.
Wow, SNOMED sounds like it's like the ultimate tool for making sure that like everyone in healthcare is on the same page, no matter how complex things get.
It really is. And when you have that level of clarity, that consistency in the data, it opens up so many possibilities.
Like what? Give me an example.
So imagine you're a doctor, right? And you're treating a patient with a rare condition. You can use SUSNUM to search for information, look up research, even connect with other doctors around the world who have treated similar cases.
Wow.
That kind of global collaboration, it wouldn't be possible without these standardized terms.
That's amazing. So we've gone from like preventing healthcare chaos with HL7 to collaborating on rare diseases with SUMED. It's incredible how far these data standards reach.
It really is. And, you know, as technology keeps evolving, these standards are only going to become more important, especially as we see things like AI being used more and more in healthcare.
Oh, AI in healthcare. Now, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? But it's becoming more common than you might think. I mean, we're already seeing AI being used to analyze medical images, help with diagnoses, even personalized treatment plans.
Wow, no kidding. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But how do these data standards we've been talking about, how do they fit into all of that?
Well, think about it this way. For AI to be effective, it needs massive amounts of data to learn from, right?
Makes sense.
And not just any data. It needs to be accurate, it needs to be organized, it needs to be standardized.
Right.
And that's where HL7, FHIR, SNOMED, all these standards we've been talking about, that's where they become even more crucial.
Okay.
They provide the framework for, like, feeding AI the information it needs to actually make sense of these complex medical situations.
So it's almost like we're teaching AI to speak the language of healthcare.
Exactly, exactly. And the more fluent AI becomes in that language, the better it can assist doctors, it can assist researchers, and ultimately it can help improve patient care.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, all these like seemingly very technical kind of dry data standards, they're actually paving the way for the future of healthcare.
They really are, and as that future unfolds, it's going to be more important than ever to have dedicated professionals like our HCBAs making sure those systems are implemented correctly, that they're working seamlessly behind the scenes.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes keeping everything running.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So the next time you hear someone say healthcare data standards, don't let your eyes glaze over. Remember, these standards, they aren't just about bits and bytes. They're about connecting the dots in your medical journey, making sure that you're getting the best possible care.
Well said.
This has been, I think, a really interesting deep dive into the world of healthcare data standards. So much going on behind the scenes that we don't even think about.
It's a lot more exciting than it sounds at first.
Way more exciting than it sounds at first.
Yes.
And for those of you who want to learn even more, maybe dive into some of the specifics, be sure to check out the show notes for links and additional resources. Until next time, stay curious.